Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Mr. Timothy N.J. Antoine. Now, call on the arrival of the Premier and Minister of Finance of Anguilla, the Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge. And now we'll have the national anthem of Anguilla. Now we welcome Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Antigua and Barbuda, outgoing Chairman, the Honorable Gaston A. Brown. And now we will see the entrance of the Grenadian flag. Now we will see the entrance of Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Montserrat, Honorable Ruben Lee. And now we will see the entrance of Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance of St. Lucia, the Honorable at St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Dr. Terence M. Drew. And now we will see the entrance of the Minister, the Prime Minister, and the Minister for Finance of St. Lucia, the Honorable Philip Japierre. And now we will see the entrance of the Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday. now for the entrance of the Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Climate Resilience and Social Security, and incoming Chairman, the Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Her Excellency, Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mr. Burton.
Isle of beauty, Isle of splendor, Isle to all so sweet and fair. All must surely gaze in wonder at thy gifts so rich and rare. Rivers, valleys, hills, and mountains, all of these gifts we do extol. Healthy land, so like all fountains, giving cheer that warms the soul. Dominica, God has blessed thee with a clime benign and bright, pastures green and floors of beauty, filling all with pure delight, and a people strong and healthy, full of godly reverence fair. May we ever seek to praise thee for these gifts so rich and rare. Come ye forward, sons and daughters of this gem beyond compare. Strive for honor, sons and daughters. Do the right, be firm, be fair. Toil with hearts and hands and voices. We must prosper, sound the call in which everyone rejoices, all for each and each for all.
Thank you so much, Tasha P. And now we will invite Father Paul Obimario, parish priest here in Portsmouth, for this afternoon's invocation.
As we have gathered to mark the exchange of chairmanship of the ECCB Monetary Council, let us invoke the Holy Spirit, who is the unction for function, without whom we cannot function, we cannot work. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of the faithful and enkindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit did destroy the heart of the faithful, grant by the same Spirit may be truly wise and ever rejoice in his consolation. To Christ our Lord. Brothers and sisters, standing here to bless you in the words of God himself. Prophet Micah 6, verse 8. He has told you, O man, what is good? What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice and to love kindness, to walk humbly with God. See Mark chapter 10, verse 45. For service and integrity. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Sacrifice. I stand in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 12. The Lord will open for you his good treasure. Heavens will give you rain in your lands, in good season, in seasons and out of season. Bless the work of your hands. Father Almighty, we thank you for our outgoing chairman and his collaborators. We thank you for the incoming chairman. For the reward of good work is more work. Give him the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to work and serve humanity. Give him good health of mind and body. Protect and bless divine security over the prime ministers of our island, different island and nations that have gathered here, ministers. Bless their family, grant them divine security. Bless their nation, grant divine security, and favor them, grant them all their good heart desires. May this gathering bring peace and unity. Take away evil from us. Give us the grace to serve. O God, unconquerable, invisible King, victor ever glorious. You hold in check in forces bent on dominating us. You overcome the threat of the raging enemies. We humbly pray that you send your holy angels here, so at this gathering we come up to be love of God, love of humanity, one God, one human race, that we can glorify your name as you use all of us and our leaders as an instrument to bless humanity. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. The Lord be with you.
We thank you once again, Father Paul, as Obi Mario, that is the parish priest here in Portsmouth. You may now be seated. Your Excellency, Sylvanie Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica and Mr. Burton, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of St. Lucia, the Honorable Dr. Terence M. Drew, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Godwin Friday, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Reuben Meade, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Montserrat, Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Anguilla, the Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, the Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Climate Resilience, and Social Security, and incoming Chairman, the Honorable Wayne Girard, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Youth Economy of St. Lucia, members of the Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Mr. Timothy N.G. Antoine, Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Valda Henry, Deputy Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Tracy Polius, Chief Director of Policy, board members and advisors, management and staff of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, specially invited guests, ladies, gentlemen, members of the media, those viewing and listening, welcome to this afternoon's event, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank ceremony to mark the change in chairmanship of the ECCB Monetary Council. Before I proceed to the Governor, please permit me a brief moment to connect this event or ceremony with our Creole-speaking community. Bon après-midi, tout le monde qui l'a avec nous, particulièrement ministre pour Affaires Finances, c'est MAM, ça c'est MAM, OICS là, ça c'est MAM, ça c'est Conseil pour Affaires ECCB. Un spécial bon après-midi pour tout le monde qui a écouté, tout le monde qui a regardé nous. C'est un plaisir pour nous aller et puis pour nous présenter en transition au moment historique qu'on nous a changement de mettre pour faire comme ça l'argent est kawaibla pour l'autre. C'est un plaisir pour nous présenter aussi un moment historique qu'on nous a l'argent ici en kawaibla changé. And on this note, I will now proceed to invite Mr. Timothy N.J. Antoine, the Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup to our Master of Ceremonies. I'm delighted to be back in the nature isle of Dominica. Your Excellencies, Sir Vanny Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mr. Burton, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Gaston A. Brown, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Antigua and Barbuda, and outgoing Chairman, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Finance, Dominica, and incoming Chairman, other members of the Monetary Council, and that includes Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance for St. Lucia, Honorable Dr. Terence M. Drew, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance for St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Godwin Friday, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Honorable Reuben Meade, Premier of Montserrat, Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, Premier of Anguilla and Minister of Finance as well, Honorable Wayne Girard, Minister for Economic Development and the Youth Economy, St. Lucia, and alternate council member for St. Lucia, the Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Father Paul, Dr. Valda Henry, Deputy Governor ECCB, Dr. Tracy Polius, Chief Director, Policy ECCB, board members and advisors, management and staff of the bank, specially invited guests, members of the media, development partners, citizens, and friends of the Currency Union, ladies and gentlemen, greetings and good afternoon. I greet you from wherever you are in our Currency Union and around the world. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the ceremony marking the transfer of the chairmanship of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. ECCB agreement entrusts the Monetary Council with providing strategic direction on monetary and credit policy. Today's ceremony, therefore, represents more than the transfer of chairmanship. It reaffirms the continuity, stability, and regional cooperation that have sustained our currency union for more than 4 decades. Those same principles will guide the Council's deliberations tomorrow. The Monetary Council, comprising the ministers responsible for finance of each member country, is the ECCB's highest decision-making body. As is our time-honored tradition, the chairmanship rotates each July. Today, the chairmanship of the Monetary Council passes from the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Gaston A. Brown, to the Minister for Finance for Dominica, the Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre. Prime Minister Brown, I thank you for your outstanding leadership during the past year. You challenge us to think boldly while remaining steadfast in discharging our core mandates of monetary and financial stability. You continue to demonstrate your commitment to regional integration through Antigua and Barbuda's prompt enactment of legislation recommended by the Monetary Council. Moreover, you made yourself available to discuss the business of the bank and to offer guidance and wise counsel. On behalf of the ECCB, I express my profound gratitude for your wise counsel, steadfast support, and exemplary regional leadership. Put your hands together for Prime Minister Brown. A resilient global economy and heightened uncertainty. If I get this to move, I'll move it. The global economy continues to demonstrate remarkable resilience despite heightened uncertainty. Global growth is projected at 3% this year, supported by continued investment in artificial intelligence and tariff increases that have been lower than initially anticipated. All right, there we go. Thank you. Nevertheless, geopolitical tensions, high public debt, climate change, cyber threats, and rapid technological change continue to test our economies around the world. Against this backdrop, what does this all mean for the people and economies of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union? Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 questions that are often top of mind for the people of our currency union. 1, is our EC dollar still strong? And the emphatic answer to this is yes. Thank you. Are my savings safe? And the answer to that is also yes. It's a good thing I'm posing these questions and helping with the answers. And here's the 3rd. Will the cost of living ever become more affordable? And the answer to this is mixed. The truth, colleagues and friends, is that inflation is easing, but the reality is that families and businesses are still feeling the pressure. And we get that. And that is one of the things that is occupying us at the Monetary Council and at our central bank. That said, I am pleased to report that the foundations of our currency union remain strong. Our EC dollar remains exceptionally strong, supported by foreign backing of 97.5%, well above the statutory requirement of 60%. Moreover, foreign reserves have risen to $5.9 billion. And yes, you may applaud if you wish at this juncture. A strong currency requires a strong central bank. I am therefore pleased to report that your central bank is financially strong. As evidenced in our recently published annual report, our central bank recorded a profit of 121.6 million, the second highest in the history of the bank. Last year it was 126.1 million. Our banking system remains sound, with strong capital and liquidity. And while the system remains safe and stable, we would readily acknowledge that customer service requires significant improvement. Our ease of opening a bank account initiative and the establishment of the Office of Financial Conduct later this year are intended to improve the customer service experience and strengthen confidence in this area. Economic growth last year was projected at around 2.4%, and next year probably around 3%. Tourism continues to underpin growth across our region. Yet one important weakness remains. Intra-regional travel is still approximately 24% below pre-pandemic levels, reflecting the current patchwork of air connectivity and persistently high regional airfares. Credit to the private sector grew last year by 5.8%, including 10.1% growth in credit to businesses and 3.3% growth in credit to households. This means more households and businesses are gaining access to financing to invest, expand, and create jobs. Credit card debt rose by 1.7% to 328.8 million. Asset quality, specifically non-performing loans, has improved from 9.3% in March of last year to 7.5% in March of this year. Of course, our aim is to get non-performing loans, bad loans, under 5%. Public debt remains high, but the public debt GDP ratio has continued its gradual decline from its pandemic peak of 88% to approximately 79% last year. Lower debt gives governments greater room to respond when the next crisis comes. And we know the shocks keep coming. Taken together, these indicators tell us that our currency union remains fundamentally sound, notwithstanding the vagaries of the global economy and the world at large. Yet the world around us is becoming more uncertain. That is why preserving stability is no longer enough. Our next task is to build resilience. In recent days, we have been celebrating the 50th anniversary of the EC dollar exchange rate regime, what we often call the PEG, one of the finest examples of regional cooperation anywhere in the world, a remarkable feat for which we ought to be justifiably proud. You may wish to applaud at this time. One of the critical success factors is the collective political commitment to respect the operational independence of our central bank. Indeed, successive governments have understood that monetary stability is a regional public good that delivers tangible benefits to the people and have supported disciplined monetary and financial policies of the central bank. I salute all past and present members of the Monetary Council for that enduring commitment. And Prime Minister Skerrit, that includes you. Let's put our hands together for past and present members of the Council. As we look ahead, I believe the next chapter in the ECCB's evolution is pellucidly clear. We must move from safeguarding monetary and financial stability to building macro-financial resilience. At its core, macro-financial resilience poses a simple but profound question. Can our economies absorb shocks, recover quickly, and emerge stronger? What I like to call bouncing forward. Not back, forward. What would such a framework look like in practice? A resilient currency union rests on 5 mutually reinforcing pillars. 1, monetary stability, anchored by a strong EC dollar and robust foreign reserves. 2, resilient public finances, with the objective of not simply reducing debt below the regional target of 60% of GDP, but building fiscal space to respond to future shocks. 3, a resilient financial system that is strong and well capitalized and capable of supporting households and businesses in times of stress. It also requires insurers or insurance companies to maintain adequate reinsurance so that they can meet policyholder obligations after major disasters. 4, structural economic resilience, achieved by removing structural vulnerabilities that undermine our ability to absorb shocks while making investments that transform productivity, competitiveness, and long-term growth. And here I speak of, you guessed it, the big push. I should have asked you, see if you could. 5, climate resilience, adaptation of our infrastructure to protect our investments and appropriate disaster risk financing with a determined effort to close the financial protection gap. Of these 5 pillars, I wish to briefly highlight 2, resilient public finances and structural economic resilience, aka the big push, because it is my considered view that the central bank ought to sharpen its policy focus and its work on these pillars, working very closely with our member countries and development partners. No currency union can be truly resilient if resilience depends solely on its central bank. We therefore need a regional fiscal resilience framework that includes stronger fiscal rules, coordinated debt management, disaster contingency financing, macro-fiscal early warning systems, and common resilience indicators. These measures will help ensure that our member governments are better prepared for future shocks while safeguarding the stability of our currency union. This is where the big push becomes essential. It is a strategy for expanding productive capacity, improving competitiveness, and reducing structural vulnerabilities. And there are 7 pillars to the big push. And yes, everybody has to get behind the big push. Food and nutrition security, energy resilience. And here I wish to applaud Dominica on its 10-megawatt geothermal plant. You have demonstrated what is possible. Your success is inspiring others in the region. And just today, I know several of our prime ministers and senior colleagues went to visit the geothermal plant. Digital transformation, trade, connectivity, and logistics, human capital and skills, financial deepening and wealth creation, and tourism competitiveness. Those are the sectors under the big push. Those are the pillars. Today, they represent a strategy to reduce structural vulnerabilities while creating new engines of growth. So what does the big push look like in practice? Let me offer you very briefly a few examples. 1, resilient renewable energy infrastructure investment facility. This platform, approved by the Monetary Council, is being operationalized with an initial value of US $235 million or 634.5 million EC dollars. It is a result of a collaboration with the ECCB and the World Bank aimed at accelerating our region's renewables. This initiative will unlock private investment in renewable energy while reducing energy costs and strengthening energy security. It is precisely the type of catalytic investment required to build long-term resilience. And this is one of the flagship projects of the Big Push. Another example is the CARICOM payment and settlement system. The ECCB is currently participating in a pilot with 3 other central banks to develop a real-time, low-cost, cross-border payment system in local currencies with CARICOM. Yes, CARICOM Chairman, you'll be pleased to hear that. Outgoing and immediate past and current. If successful, this system would deliver fast regional payments, lower transaction costs, deepen regional trade, and stronger financial integration. The Partial Credit Guarantee Program. Our banking system has almost $30 billion in deposits, but a little less than 17 billion in loans. Meanwhile, our small businesses continue to struggle to access credit. This initiative seeks to bridge that gap. Already, over 300 guarantees have been issued to a value of 32 million EC dollars, and we now want to scale that up. By sharing the risk with participating financial institutions, banks, credit unions, development banks, the program is intended to unlock credit to businesses that would otherwise struggle to obtain financing. And as you know, the guarantee is 75 to 80%. So if you borrow $100,000, the guarantee would be for 75,000 or 80,000. What that does is to reduce the risk to the financial institution and make it easier for them to make the loan. It's also going to be a lower rate because of the guarantee that is backing the loan. We really have to move on this program. And then the STEM camp. 2 years ago, in fact 3 years ago, the ECCB committed to train 500 students between the ages of 13 and 18 in generative AI and Python each summer. This year's camp will commence on Monday, July 13, and will run for 1 month. Our students will move beyond using generative AI to become creators, innovators, and problem solvers, ready to lead the digital future of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. This initiative, in partnership with the government of Taiwan, is another practical demonstration of ECCB's commitment to investing in our youth and our region's future competitiveness. So if you haven't found what your child should do for the summer, this is an idea. Ladies and gentlemen, these initiatives are not isolated projects. They reflect a broader vision. Collectively, these initiatives form a practical strategy to transform stability into resilience and resilience into sustainable prosperity. I conclude. The central lesson of the past 50 years is clear. Stability is not the destination, stability is the foundation. It gives families the confidence to save, businesses the confidence to invest, and governments the confidence to plan. The first 50 years proved that we can preserve stability. The next 50 years must prove that we can transform that stability into resilience, resilience into prosperity, and prosperity into opportunity for every citizen of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And that must be our defining legacy. Yesterday's imperative was stability. Today's imperative is resilience. Tomorrow's reward is shared prosperity. That is the work before us, and I am confident together, with the help of God Almighty, we will succeed. I leave you with a conviction that has guided my thinking for the last many years. As a region, we cannot change our history, and we cannot change our geography, but we can elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. May God continue to bless our currency union and crown our collective efforts with tremendous success. Thank you. For those of you who are interested, the QR code is on screen. You can get a copy of the presentation via your phone. Thank you very much. And on that note, I'm delighted to welcome to the podium a man who needs no introduction, the Honorable Gaston A. Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and our outgoing chairman. Prime Minister Brown, please.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, President Sylvani Burton and Mr. Burton, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt, other colleagues heads, and of course Dr. Evan McIntyre, the incoming chairman, other members of the Monetary Council, members of Parliament, members of Cabinet, Governor Antoine, Deputy Governor, and all of the other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I begin by expressing my profound gratitude to the people of Antigua and Barbuda for the confidence and trust that they repose in me through their decisive mandate at the general elections of April 30th of this year. Their renewed trust enabled me to complete my tenure as chairman of the Monetary Council and to present this report to you today. I also extend my sincere appreciation to the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica for their warm hospitality. You know, Antiguans and Barbudans, we love Dominicans, and Dominicans love us. I also extend a sincere thank you to my dear friend and colleague, Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt. I thank you very much for your gracious welcome, and certainly your gracious welcome is always appreciated. And it is certainly a pleasure once again to be in the Nature Isle. Governor Antoine, I certainly want to commend you and the dedicated team at Eastern Caribbean Central Bank for your outstanding stewardship during the past year. As you indicated, the bank delivered a profit of $121.6 million for the 2025-26 financial year. A strong testament to prudent management and institutional excellence, and one which will enable a greater distribution of earnings to our member governments. So keep the profits coming. Now, it has been both an honor and a privilege to serve as chairman of the Monetary Council during a period of considerable global uncertainty and regional opportunity. As you know, where there are challenges, there are also opportunities to be exploited. And I'm pleased to report that through sound leadership, prudent policy, and unwavering regional cooperation, our currency union has remained stable, resilient, and well-positioned for future growth and development. And let me give you a brief report on my stewardship as chairman. As I said before, serving as chairman of the Monetary Council has been both an honor and a privilege. Over the past year, our region has navigated an increasingly uncertain global environment marked by geopolitical tensions, shifting trade dynamics, inflationary pressures, and energy market volatility. For small island developing states, these challenges are certainly familiar. Yet through prudent leadership, sound policy, and regional cooperation, the people of the Eastern Caribbean have once again demonstrated remarkable resilience. And I believe that it is certainly in our DNA to be resilient. In fact, our forebears have been extremely resilient, and that is why we're here today. That is why they survived the atrocities of slavery and colonization. Now, our challenge now is to transform that resilience into greater prosperity, to have strong institutions and expanded opportunities, including ownership and earning opportunities for our people. I want to emphasize here both ownership and earning opportunities for people. Our people must be positioned to control the commanding heights of the economies of our respective countries. Failing which, we will be nothing more than extractive economies for foreign capitalists. I'd like to speak briefly to the issue of preserving stability and advancing growth, and the governor would have dealt with this issue extensively, but I just want to reinforce a few of the points that were made by the distinguished governor. Despite global headwinds, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union economy is estimated to have grown by about 3.3% in 2025. Antigua and Barbuda recorded growth of approximately 3%, supported largely by construction activity, including major investments in road infrastructure and the expansion and renewal of the VC Bird International Airport. These results underscore the resilience of our economies. However, stability alone is not enough. It must serve as a foundation for stronger growth, increased productivity, and greater prosperity. That foundation remains strong after 50 years of establishing our currency union. On July 7, 2026, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the fixed exchange rate mechanism and the fixed exchange rate of 2.7 EC dollars to 1 US, one of the most enduring and successful exchange rate mechanisms in the world. Again, let's hear it for the currency union. This achievement reflects decades of prudent monetary management, fiscal discipline, and unwavering commitment to regional integration. Later this evening, we will unveil a new family of EC banknotes to commemorate this historic occasion. Our banking system also remains very sound and highly liquid, as indicated by the governor, with excess liquidity exceeding $1.3 billion. Through the Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, more than 300 businesses have accessed financing. And this evening, I want to encourage entrepreneurs and financial institutions alike to make greater use of this facility to expand investment, create jobs, and certainly to stimulate private sector growth. I especially encourage our banks to provide more favorable terms to small businesses, given the significant reduction in risk provided by the guarantee. So there's no reason for these banks to be charging double digits. The fact that the risk is about 80% guaranteed means that they should reduce the interest costs to borrowers. Now, this is critical to expanding regional output and certainly to promote job creation and supporting private sector growth and development. I'd like to also speak to the big push and to recommend strategies as to how we can accelerate the big push. Now, the Monetary Council has embraced Governor Antoine's vision of a big push. And that big push calls for us to double or expand the regional GDP to approximately 50 billion. That is to double the GDP within a 10-year period. But as I said to the governor, the big push requires funding. Without funding, it will be a small push or no push. Now, this is not merely a growth agenda. It is wealth creation, because ultimately we have to work assiduously to make our people wealthier. We want our people to enjoy living standards that are comparable to global standards. Our objective is to expand ownership and earnings, to strengthen entrepreneurship, increase investment, and to create lasting opportunities for our people. Now, the bank must, however, assist in catalyzing funding for the big push to strengthen regional economies by developing creative and innovative credit and securities instruments, utilizing a small portion, possibly 5 to 7% of its reserves. You know, it's pointless coming here and bragging that you have 98% backing ratio when we need money to develop the region. Use a small percentage of it to help to catalyze funding so that we can invest in the 7 pillars that you outlined. And again, I know that bankers are generally very conservative, yeah? But a little common sense and a little strategic thinking can help us to achieve more without prejudicing the backing ratio. And the governor and those who run the central bank must understand that strong OECS economies with reduced reliance on foreign direct investment and imports are quintessential to sustaining a healthy backing ratio. So if you have economies that are weak, you can't have a strong currency because we're not going to generate enough revenues and enough hard currency for you to have and boast about $6 billion in your backing ratio. So you have an obligation to utilize some portion of that backing ratio because you don't need 98%. You're just giving you bragging rights and you're tying up monies that can be utilized for development. So the bank could therefore support the sustainability of its foreign currency reserve by demonstrating greater confidence in our respective economies, providing catalytic capital to fund projects in energy resilience and other critical sectors without compromising the backing ratio. This is a matter that Council members will discuss in great detail during this meeting as a strategic imperative. So, Mr. Governor, all the things that we normally waste time about, we don't know about them, so we want to deal with strategic issues during this meeting. We want to deal with issues of cost of living, energy, and so on, and to come up with strategies and programs to improve the living standards of the people of the OECS. So the less bureaucracy, the better. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Monetary Council endorsed the ECCB Strategic Plan 2026 to 2031, and the Governor would have spoken about a few issues in that plan, focusing on food and nutrition security, energy resilience, connectivity, trade, logistics, financing, deepening, financial deepening, and all, as well as wealth creation. And again, I want to emphasize wealth creation because you can't build successful nations with poor people, or people must make money. Now, the need also for, or let me put it this way, among the transformative initiatives under consideration is OECS-EA, which can strengthen regional connectivity, facilitate commerce, and support tourism and investment throughout the currency union. The need for OECS-EA is even more apropos today, recognizing the frustrations of perpetual flight delays and cancellations among existing carriers. In fact, the patchwork of carriers that we have within the region, leaving regional travelers stranded on a daily basis. On my way to the CARICOM meeting in St. Lucia, I missed the opening ceremony because I had to spend 6 hours on the Barbados airport because Inter-Caribbean could not make a plane available to take us to St. Lucia. In fact, the wait time should have been 1 hour, turned out to be 6 hours. Even coming here to Dominica, even though we had a private charter, there are also delays. So we clearly have a problem when it comes to connecting OECS people. But we also need to understand that there's a greater threat. The curtailing of international flights to the OECS countries by carriers such as British Airways will make the need for OECS-EA even more urgent. I'm told that already British Airways has indicated that it will discontinue service to a particular OECS country to facilitate hubbing in Barbados. So with these threats, we need now to provide proactive leadership and literally to put our money where our mouth is and to make sure that we develop mitigating strategies so that we do not get left behind. Now, while the proposed OECS-EA will be owned by the governments collectively, it will operate and be managed privately along commercial lines to generate profits to ensure sustainability. So no head will have the right to utilize this new airline as his or her private jet. The Monetary Council also approved the prudent use of a portion of dormant account balances held at the central bank to support regional development initiatives while fully safeguarding depositor rights. And let me be abundantly clear, I'm not trying to steal your money. In fact, lawful owners and beneficiaries will retain the right to reclaim their funds into perpetuity. And this replaces the previous 30-year limitation in which the funds would have been forfeited after 30 years. So it is a better dispensation for depositors or the beneficiaries of these deposits, while at the same time ensuring that we can utilize these idle funds for the development of the sub-region. Let me also take this opportunity to speak briefly about CHOGM, which obviously will be an opportunity not only for Antigua and Barbuda, but certainly for the region. In November of this year, Antigua and Barbuda will host a Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting under the theme Accelerating Partnerships and Investment for a Prosperous Commonwealth. And we are hoping that this particular Commonwealth meeting will help to reinvigorate the Commonwealth and to make it relevant compared to prior years in which the Commonwealth would have lost relevance. So, while hosted by Antigua and Barbuda, CHOGM is an opportunity for the entire ECCU and certainly the wider Caribbean region. It will showcase our region's potential, attract investment, deepen partnerships, and place the priorities of small island states firmly on the Commonwealth agenda. As one Prime Minister said at a recent meeting, we don't want to be on the menu, we want to be part of the menu. Am I correct, Minister? Let me now speak to the issue of building energy security and climate resilience. Reducing our dependence on fossil fuel energy remained one of the defining priorities of my chairmanship. Recent volatility in international oil markets has once again underscored the importance of accelerating our transition to renewable energy. During my tenure, significant progress was made in advancing renewable energy through the Resilient Renewable Energy Infrastructure Investment Facility, a transformative initiative developed with the support of the World Bank and other development partners. Funding commitments, I'm told, are in the region of about $200 million and we expect that based on our new thrust, the central bank will come up with another $100 million, taking it to $300 million. You support that? Thank you. Governor, you heard that, right? So these renewable energy projects will ultimately reduce the huge foreign exchange leakage by having a reduction in the consumption demand of expensive petroleum products. So if you are reducing the foreign exchange leakage, you're also strengthening the currency. So it means, therefore, that it should be a priority project for the central bank to fund energy resilience, recognizing that less foreign exchange will leave the region, while at the same time helping to build economic resilience and strengthening the currency at the same time. So there's obviously a dual effect here. We have also engaged the European Union in discussions to develop geothermal facilities in the region to provide more reliable and low energy costs for ECS countries. They have made certain promises, and I just hope that they will deliver on those promises, even though they seem to be very hostile to the region right now. And I'll speak briefly to that issue shortly on the issue of CIP. Now, countries with geothermal energy could become net exporters of base load power to neighboring islands. And we are currently speaking to two of our neighbors to see how they can help us when they develop their geothermal capacity to provide us with cheaper base load energy so that we can drive down our cost of energy. But I'm pretty sure too that in interim many of us would want to even transition into solar energy because we have an abundance of sun. And the whole idea obviously is to reduce our energy costs and to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. So you have the benefit of foreign exchange benefits while at the same time reducing the extent of foreign exchange leakages, or at the same time resulting in less monies leaving our economies and having more economies to fund socioeconomic development. Similarly, we have held discussions with the EU to develop a common ICT infrastructure with subsea cables linking OECS countries to deliver more affordable and certainly better broadband services to our people, because we now live in a new ICT dispensation with artificial intelligence and so on, which will require a significant amount of broadband services practically for every sector, education, healthcare, you name it. So we need to have more affordable and reliable broadband services. And again, we're in discussions with the European Union to see how they can help us to have a facility in which we could have our own subsea cable linking the various OCS countries. Now, I want to speak briefly about CIP before I wrap up my brief comments. We have strengthened the governance of the citizenship by investment programs within the region with the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority, ensuring higher standards of transparency, accountability, and international credibility. Despite the program's enhancements, we are now faced with the recent news of OECS CIP countries' EU visa-free suspensions under the visa suspension mechanism of the European Union, which was adopted by the EU on December 31st, 2025. Now, under this new framework, the mere operation of a CBI program, regardless of how well it is managed, is now a self-standing ground for suspension of visa-free access. So those involved in the political space who may want to cast aspersions on leaders within the region must understand that, again, it is actually a self-standing ground for suspension and not because of any, let's say, personal misconduct of any prime minister or of any country within the region. Now, in a letter dated the 25th of June 2026, signed by Commissioner Magnus Brunner and addressed to the regional prime ministers, the European Commission formally requested that our respective countries phase out CBI programs by June 1st, 2028. The Commission's letter offers a 24-month transition period and proposes the implementation of specific interim measures. The CBI programs, as you all are fully aware, are critical pillars of the OECS CIP countries' non-tax base. And they cannot simply be abandoned without viable, concrete, and credible replacement revenues being made available. OECS heads will be meeting tomorrow to discuss a joint response to the European Union, reiterating the irreparable harm this policy decision would cause the economies of the OECS and the welfare of its citizens. In this connection, our governments collectively will continue to engage the European Commission in a principled and constructive dialogue consistent with the spirit of our long-standing partnership. Let me also, before I conclude, speak briefly about financial inclusion. The Central Bank continues to encourage, through legislation and policy initiatives, the advancement of financial inclusion through the First Step Savings Account, the Operational Credit Bureau, and the soon-to-be established Office of Financial Conduct, all of which will improve access, strengthen consumer protection, and enhance confidence in our financial system. I commend those member countries who, like Antigua, have already enacted the required legislation, and I encourage them, I encourage the remaining jurisdictions, for that matter, to do so expeditiously so that every financial consumer across the currency union can benefit from a financial system that is fair, transparent, and worthy of their trust. And I'll conclude. As I conclude my tenure, I thank my colleagues on the Monetary Council, include Governor Antoine, the staff of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, for their partnership and commitment to shared regional mission. Together, we have preserved the stability of our currency union by laying important foundations for future growth and transformation. I offer my full support to the incoming chairman, the Honorable Dr. Evan McIntyre, and remain confident that the Council will continue advancing the resilience, prosperity, and development of our region. 50 years ago, visionary leaders secured the stability of our common currency. Our responsibility now is to build upon that legacy, transforming stability into prosperity, expanding opportunity, creating wealth, and ensuring a brighter future for generations to come. May God Almighty continue to bless the peoples of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
I thank the distinguished Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, an outgoing chair, for his stewardship. And we are fully aligned, Prime Minister, fully aligned on the big push. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. So on that note, I am especially pleased to now invite to address you the incoming chair. In Dominica, he is simply known by many to Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Finance and new chairman of the Monetary Council. Dr. McIntyre, please.
Thank you very much, Governor. Let me first recognize Your Excellency Silvani Burton, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mr. Burton, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Antigua and Barbuda, Honorable Philip Jepier, Prime Minister, Minister of Finance of St. Lucia, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Honorable Godwin Friday, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Honorable Reuben Mead, Premier and Minister of Finance of Montserrat, Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, Premier and Minister of Finance of Anguilla, Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Wayne Gerard, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Youth Economy of St. Lucia, members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Mr. Timothy Antwine, Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Valda Henry, Deputy Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Tracy Pullis, Chief Director Policy, board members and advisors, management and staff of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, a pleasant good evening to all gathered here this afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome each of you to the Nature Isle of the Caribbean. I trust that your journey from the airport offered a glimpse of our lush forests, majestic mountains, and pristine rivers. While you're here, I encourage you to experience our natural beauty, enjoy our local cuisine and fruits, and perhaps even take a refreshing swim in one of our many rivers. I extend sincere appreciation to our outgoing chairman, Prime Minister Brown, for his exemplary leadership over the past year. I also congratulate him and his party on their resounding victory in the recent general elections in Antigua and Barbuda. Governor Antwine, let me also express my heartfelt appreciation to you and the entire team of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank for your dedicated service to the people of our currency union and for the bank's outstanding performance during the past year. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica, I accept the chairmanship of this distinguished monetary council with humility, gratitude, and an unwavering commitment to regional cooperation. To chair this council is to accept responsibility for helping safeguard the financial well-being of more than 650,000 people across our currency union, from Anguilla in the north to Grenada in the south. I therefore assume this responsibility with a profound sense of duty, fully mindful of the uncertainty created by an increasing volatile geopolitical and economic environment. Yet, even amid these uncertainties, our resolve remains firm. Together, we will continue to safeguard monetary and financial stability while accelerating the transformation of our economies to deliver sustainable, inclusive, and shared prosperity for all our people. Today's global environment presents significant challenges to our transformation agenda. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East continues to cloud the global outlook through heightened geopolitical tensions, volatile energy prices, and disruptions to international trade. Against this backdrop, economic growth across the ECCU is projected to average just under 3% in both 2026 and 2027, well below the 7% growth needed to achieve the ambitions of our big push. This reality demands purposeful and coordinated action. While external shocks will continue to test our resilience, our history has repeatedly shown that the people of the Eastern Caribbean possess the determination, ingenuity, and unity to overcome adversity. Rather than retreat, we must seize the opportunities emerging from these global shifts to build stronger, more competitive, and more resilient economies. Here in the Commonwealth of Dominica, we are committed to playing our part. We expect strong economic growth to be supported by continued investment in climate-resilient infrastructure as we pursue our vision of becoming the first climate nation. These investments include construction of our international airport, geothermal energy development, modernization of our road network, climate resilience initiatives, and our housing revolution. The international airport, one of the largest infrastructure projects in our nation's history, will significantly improve connectivity, strengthen tourism, stimulate investment, and create hundreds of jobs over the medium term. At the same time, we remain committed to prudent fiscal management, economic diversification, particularly in agriculture and tourism, and stronger social protection for our people. During my tenure as chairman, the Monetary Council will work closely with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, our strategic partner, and other stakeholders to advance priorities that are fundamental to the continued stability and transformation of our currency union. Monetary and financial stability will remain our highest priority. The Council remains committed to strengthening and modernizing our regulatory and supervisory frameworks because monetary stability is never accidental. It is earned through disciplined institutions, sound policies, and prudent leadership. This year, we proudly celebrate 50 years of our fixed exchange rate arrangement, a remarkable achievement and one of the longest standing and most successful currency pegs anywhere in the world. For 5 decades, this stability has provided confidence to households, businesses, and investors. It has become one of the defining strengths of our regional integration. But past success must never breed complacency. We must continue strengthening our institutions to ensure that our monetary union remains resilient in an increasingly complex global economy. Food and nutrition security remains both an economic and strategic imperative. Earlier this year, I called for the stronger policies to expand agricultural production, support farmers and rural communities, and improve regional food security. The ECCU's food import bill reached almost 2.4 billion EC dollars in 2024, with Dominica accounting for EC $162.3 million. This represents a substantial outflow of foreign exchange that could instead generate income, employment, and investment within our own economies. We have the land, the people, and the capacity to produce more of what we consume. Dominica stands ready to play an even greater role in advancing regional food security. Energy security is equally critical to our economic resilience. Imported fossil fuels continue to account for almost 90% of our region's energy mix, exposing our economies to volatile international oil prices and increasing the cost of doing business and the cost of living. Accelerating our transition to renewable energy is therefore both an economic and environmental necessity. Earlier this year, the Commonwealth of Dominica completed a 10-megawatt geothermal power plant valued at US $68.3 million in the Rosa Valley, making us the first country in the Eastern Caribbean to integrate geothermal energy into the national electricity grid. This facility supplies electricity to approximately 23,000 homes and represents a significant milestone towards our goal of generating 100% renewable energy by 2030. Across the region, the Monetary Council will continue to support the accelerated implementation of renewable energy projects under the Resilient Renewable Energy Infrastructure Investment Facility, led by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, with financing from the World Bank, Canada, and the Green Climate Fund. Climate change remains the defining existential challenge facing small island developing states. The people of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and indeed the wider Eastern Caribbean, know firsthand how a single hurricane can erase decades of development in a matter of hours. Our collective voice must therefore remain strong as we advocate for greater access to affordable and concessional climate financing. Citizenship by investment programs remain an important source of development financing for 5 member countries of our currency union. Accordingly, the Monetary Council will continue to prioritize the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority, which is expected to commence operations later this year. A robust regional regulatory framework will strengthen governance, enhance transparency, and reinforce international confidence in our programs. As we look to the future, let us be guided by a shared vision of an Eastern Caribbean currency union that is stronger, more resilient, and more prosperous. A union where our economies are more diversified, our institutions are stronger, our people are empowered, and our young people are inspired by the opportunities before them. As a Monetary Council, we reaffirm our commitment to collaborative leadership and ensure every citizen that your well-being will remain at the heart of every decision that we make. Together, we'll preserve the stability that has served our nation, our region, and while building a future of greater opportunity and shared prosperity for generations to come. May Almighty God continue to bless our currency union, guide our deliberations, and keep our people safe. I thank you.
Put your hands together for new chairman of the Monetary Council. Over the last day or so, we have been discussing as he assumes the chairmanship. This morning over breakfast, I said to him, what do you want to focus on in this particular meeting? We have a long agenda. So by the way, part of the reason why we have a long agenda in the central bank is because in addition to the central bank, there are other entities that also have to report to the Monetary Council. That includes the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation, that includes the Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission, that includes the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, all of whom, by the way, was set up through the central bank. But the Council has governance authority over all of these entities. So the agenda is long. And he said to me, Governor, I want to discuss the big push. So they are aligned, and tomorrow that's what we'll talk about, even as we take care of the appropriate governance arrangements that we have to, the fiduciary that we have to. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the speeches are over. I have not forgotten the youth. We have not forgotten the unveiling of the notes, which are going to come shortly. So those of you who are online and waiting, I want to assure you that that is going to come very soon. I also wanted to make sure that we got the football match out of the way, so we have your undivided attention. Well, I didn't quite, but you know, but the match is over. For those of you who don't know, France won 2-0. And so they are into the semis. So with that out of the way, breaking news for those of you who weren't settled now, we want to focus. So I gave you that so you could exhale, so we could look at the business together with a focus. And so now, if our youth are ready, I'd now like to invite, first of all, so as you know, we've been celebrating our 50th anniversary of the PEG. And as part of that, there are a series of events which we have been doing, one of which is the Creative Youth Contest. Well, there are some things, but there's a songwriting contest which has gone on. And we have a winner from Dominica. Her name is Sienna Andrew. And Sienna, if you are here, I'd like you to step forward so that you can render your composition. Put your hands together for Sienna Andrew, winner of the 13 to 16 age category. Do you want to come to the mic, or you give you a mic? There's a mic there? Okay, you want to use? Okay. So everybody can see you. Very good.
Hello. In a world that rotates quickly, where shadows tend to lurk, those who you think are your close friends will shove you into dirt. Mental health, a melody we must learn to compose, breaking down the stigma to create harmony that grows. Hold on, don't let go. Let your heart ignite. No matter how dark the tunnel, there'll always be a light. All those young or old voices intertwined. Together we stand, and in unity we bind. For the ones who have lived longer with endless burdens on their back, a symphony of understanding replace the love we've lacked. In the rhythm of compassion, we need judgment to fade. We're all on this road together, so no one should be afraid. Hold on, don't let go. Let your heart ignite. No matter how dark the tunnel, there'll always be a light. All those young or old voices intertwined. Together we stand, and in unity we bind. Little hearts, silent cries, hiding tears untold. Adults as their guidance, please help them to unfold. We need to come together, for no one's heart should ache. Sing this lullaby of hope that helps to unlock every gate. Hold on, don't let go. Let it ignite. No matter how dark the light, all those young or old voices intertwined. Together we stand, and in unity we bind. All those young or old voices intertwined. Together we stand, and in bind. In unity we bind.
Put your hands together. For Miss Andrew, Sienna Andrew. Together we stand, and in unity we rise. What a wonderful theme. So appropriate for our current union and for what we do and must do together. And Sienna, winner of the ECCB Creative Youth Contest Songwriting Competition category age 13 to 16. Congratulations again. We expect to be hearing more about you and from you. Very good. We want to give our youth, and by the way, you notice it's our women, young women, who are coming forward. And so, yes, our females, and we are happy to see that. Perhaps we do want to see some men as well, but the ladies are up, and we should celebrate them. And so I now want to call forward our poetry winner. So this person won second place in the ECCB Creative Youth Contest, age category 13 to 16. She is Miss Safia Etienne. Safia, if you're in the room, can you step forward? Is Safia here? Oh, there she is. Put our hands together for Safia Etienne.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Safia Etienne. My poem was under the theme Skills Equal Money. It was entitled Elijah's Place. Go to school to get a good paying job. The only other way to make money is to rob. For 16 years, that's all Elijah heard. But in his mind, it was nothing more than absurd. With mommy in one ear and granny in the next, it was like their words never had an effect. Their nagging was always in succession, which led the boy to the doorstep of manic depression. As a black teenager, his parents' criticism came from every direction. He tried so hard just to win their affection. Besides his guardians, there was one thing he did dread. School. Elijah would rather be bald-headed. During class, his mind wandered far. They only wanted him to do well and get a star. No matter the amount of books he read, nothing would stick in poor Elijah's head. He tried his best. Every day he would return. But the teachers gave up. Elijah couldn't learn. After school, he would put away his books, change his clothes, and watch his granny cook. In the kitchen, he felt so alive. It was the one place he could thrive. By the skin of his teeth, he barely graduated, but he was much more excited about what awaited. Soon, he was off to culinary school, where he never felt like a fool. 4 years later, he was back with a culinary degree, ready to open up his restaurant with much glee. In no time, people would line up outside of his door. The food from Elijah's place, they do adore. With such outstanding abilities, the man quickly rose to fame, making Elijah Jackson a household name. Even though he wasn't strong in math or science, fast forward 10 years, now he takes pride in self-reliance. As a celebrity chef, he made a great deal of money. The taste of success reminded him so much of honey. Elijah's restaurant became one of the top in the city with the help of marketing and publicity. In the end, Elijah's story was beautifully written. He earned his success. It was definitely not given. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Etienne, Safia, for the spoken word. And again, we congratulate you on your success. For those of you who are online, we are about to proceed now with the unveiling of the banknotes. So if you are queuing for that, media houses, the unveiling is next. In July 2023, the Monetary Council of the Eastern In July of 2023, the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank took the historic decision to replace the image of Her late Majesty Elizabeth II coins of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Recognizing that the currency belongs to the people of the currency union, the Monetary Council, through the central bank, invited the public live across the currency union. So sound check. Okay, so let's try this. My apologies, but I have to just repeat for those who are following online. Recognizing that the currency belongs to the people of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the Monetary Council invited the public through the central bank to help shape this new chapter in our shared history. Between July and December 2023, citizens across the currency union were consulted on who or what should appear on the redesigned currency. The response was clear and compelling. The people called for our currency to honor our own heroes, nation builders, and persons whose lives and achievements have enriched our countries and strengthened our region. Guided by that mandate, each participating member country was invited to nominate an individual whose life and legacy reflect the highest ideals of service, leadership, scholarship, and excellence. This evening, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union proudly honors persons whose contributions have shaped their nations while advancing our shared regional identity. Together, they represent the values of excellence, integrity, resilience, service, and cooperation that continue to inspire the people of the currency union. It is now my pleasure to invite the members of the Monetary Council to announce the names of honorees, after which I will read a short citation before the council member returns to his or her seat. We begin with the $5 note, and I invite the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to make the announcement.
The selection of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the Right Honorable Robert Milton Cato.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Friday. The Right Honorable Robert Milton Cato was the first Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, guiding the nation through its transition from statehood to independence. Through his commitment to education, economic opportunity, and strong public institutions, he helped shape the modern Vincentian nation while contributing to regional cooperation as a signatory to the ECCB agreement. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Friday. So now you begin to see how this is going to go, right? Good. With regret, the Minister of Finance of Grenada is unable to attend in person, and he sends his apologies. I will therefore proceed to advise of Grenada's selection. The selection from Grenada is Sir Kirani Zeno James. Sir Kirani James became world champion in the 400 meters at the age of 18. The following year, he won Grenada's first Olympic medal, gold, in the 400 meters at the 2012 Olympics in London. A 3-time Olympic medalist and 3-time World Championship medalist, his discipline, humility, and sporting excellence have brought distinction to Grenada and inspired young people throughout the Caribbean and around the world to pursue excellence on the world stage. We now move to the $10 banknotes and invite the Premier of Montserrat to make the announcement.
Thank you very much, Governor. Montserrat has selected the most excellent William Henry Bramble, and if I may, the first Chief Minister and our first national hero.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Premier. The most excellent William Henry Bramble championed the rights of working people before becoming Montserrat's first Chief Minister. His leadership expanded opportunity, strengthened social progress, and helped lay the foundation for modern Montserrat. His lifelong commitment to dignity, equity, and public service continues to reflect the values shared across our currency union.